Did you ever notice that the best guns don't need to scream for attention? No giant ads, no YouTubers raving every 2 weeks, no celebrity endorsements, just pure performance and quiet dominance. These pistols don't try to win because they already did. In this video, we're going deep into the 9mm pistols that are actually winning 2025, not because they went viral, but because real shooters, real professionals, and real range results put them there. You won't hear hype, but by the end of this list, you'll know why these are the quiet killers, the pistols that make noise only after they fire. Let's get started. You want to talk about quiet killers? This is one of the sneakiest wins in the entire Beretta lineup. A pistol most folks completely forget about until they shoot one. The PX4 Storm Compact doesn't shout, doesn't trend, and hell, most gun counters don't even bother putting it out front. But the ones who carry it know exactly why they do. It's got this recoil system that smooths out even the snappiest 9mm rounds. You barely feel it cycle. Combine that with a slide that racks like it's been buttered up and hand-fitted, and suddenly you're landing tighter groups without even trying. It's not plastic fantastic either. It's got real build to it. Solid, dependable, battle-ready, but dressed in everyday clothes. This gun doesn't ride the hype train. It's the weapon of choice for folks who've been around long enough to stop chasing trends. The PX4 Storm Compact wins just by doing its job every single time, quietly, cleanly, and without fail. And trust me, the next pistol is even more silent and even more dangerous. Best 9mm of the year? Overhyped trash? 6 milking us dry. That's the P365X Macro in 2025. You don't just hear one voice, you hear a whole damn shouting match. Walk into a gun shop and somebody's praising its capacity, 2 steps over, another customer's groaning about the price. Supporters call it the crown of the Micro 9 evolution. More rounds in the mag, optics ready, modular grip frame. They swear it's the pistol that finally retired their Glock 19. Some comps even did duty size carry for it, saying, why pack bigger when the X Macro does the same job smaller? But critics ain't backing down. They laugh at the size creep, call it too big for a micro, too small for a duty. Others say it's proof SIG can slap the P365 name on anything and folks will buy it. And every time a new version drops, the conspiracy gets louder. Is SIG building better weapons or just building better cash cows? I've seen both sides play out. One shooter swore he'd never go back after running the X Macro for a month. Another sold his off just as fast, grumbling that a Shield Plus carried better. And that's the X Macro's legacy. It doesn't just enter the 2025 conversation, it hijacked it. The Sauer 9 Compact's loudest fight doesn't happen on the range, it happens online. Scroll any forum and you'll see. And you'll see it. Cheap Glock knockoff right next to runs better than my 19, deal with it. That split is what keeps this pistol sitting in the middle of every argument in 2025. Line it up against a Glock 19 and the resemblance is obvious. Grip angle, striker setup, even the look. And that's where the conspiracy whispers start. Did Sauer build this thing to out-Glock Glock in markets that Glock ignores? Plenty of folks think so. But here's where it gets wild. I know a shooter who bought one as a joke, literally called it his YouTube pistol. He figured it'd fail, he'd roast it and move on. But 2,000 rounds later, the damn thing's still running. He doesn't laugh about it anymore. He carries it as a backup. Critics still sneer at the finish, the trigger, and the brand name. Doesn't matter. The Compact forced its way into the conversation by doing what few expected, surviving the abuse and coming back for more. Copy or contender, The Sauer 9 compact blew up louder than anyone thought possible. And that just leaves us with number 1, the carry pistol that's been setting 2025 on fire. Some pistols get called tough. The HK USP gets called a tank. And that ain't just walk. This thing was built in the 90s when engineers weren't trying to shave ounces or win beauty contests. They built it to survive drops, mud, sand, and abuse that most modern micros wouldn't last a day in. Fans still swear by it. That recoil reduction system makes the USP eat plus P ammo like candy, and its hammer-fired setup just keeps on clicking. For a lot of old-school shooters, this pistol is the definition of duty ready. They'll tell you it's the last sidearm they'd ever part with, but the other side's loud too. Critics laugh at the size, call it outdated, say it's a dinosaur in a market dominated by slim 9mm and optics cuts. And the price back in the day? Folks still joke you weren't buying a pistol, you were buying an HK's mystique. Conspiracies fly that HK clings to the USP because of nostalgia more than performance. Maybe, but I've seen a 20-year-old USP dusted off, loaded, and run 500 rounds without a hiccup. Not many guns can brag that. Tank or dinosaur, the USP keeps stomping forward. And next, Springfield's big play, the pistol that was supposed to rewrite their future. The OZ9 doesn't spark fights because it jams, it sparks them the second somebody says the price out loud. Folks see it in the case, see the tag, and laugh. Why buy one OZ9 when I can grab 2 Glocks and a trunk of 9mm ammo? That's the debate every time this pistol shows up. Zev fans fire back with pride. They'll tell you the OZ9 ain't just another Glock, it's re-engineered from the inside out. Full-length steel receiver, competition-ready trigger, slick ergonomics. In their hands, it feels like the pistol Glock should have made if they weren't stuck on mass production shortcuts. But the criticism is loud. To plenty of shooters, the OZ9's nothing more than a Gucci Glock, a boutique build designed to drain wallets more than win fights. And the conspiracy lingers. Does Zev keep prices sky high because of craftsmanship or because exclusivity itself is the product? I've seen it firsthand at the range. Someone pulls one out and suddenly half the line crowds around. Not to shoot, just to stare. That says everything what this pistol really sells. The OZ9 forces shooters to argue with their wallets, not their triggers. And next, we step into HK territory, a pistol that couldn't care less about flash because it's already a legend. Funny how the Masada got introduced not with fireworks, but with whispers. Israel's answer to Glock, a duty gun dressed up for carry, cheap import hype. The gossip hit faster than the gun itself. And here's the split. Some shooters call it the best deal in the 9mm aisle. Optics ready, tough frame, eats ammo like a hungry dog, and it doesn't punish your wallet. They'll tell you it's a soldier's pistol that finally trickled down to the working man. But hang around long enough and you'll hear the other side. Too chunky, too plain, no aftermarket to dress up. The insult that stuck feels like a brick in a world of Legos. Folks swear IWI rushed it to catch the SIG and Glock wave before the buzz cooled. I watched it play out at the range. A vet picked one up and nodded like he had just seen an old friend. Solid, dependable. 2 lanes down, a younger guy fired a couple of mags and muttered, "Nah, too clunky." Same gun, different stories, louder arguments. And that's the Masada's real trick. It doesn't win clean, it forces a fight. At the range, a guy plopped down his shiny new CSX like it was treasure. His buddy didn't even blink, just grinned and said, "Why'd you bring a hammer to a striker fight?" That one jab tells you everything. The CSX has been a punchline since it showed up, and yet it won't die. Folks thought Smith & Wesson was drunk, tossing a hammer-fired micro into a market ruled by striker-fired kings. Some people love the curveball. Finally, something different. Others call it a Frankenstein mashup, old 1911 habits jammed into a modern carry gun. But it gets weirder. The trigger feels sharp for one shooter, clunky for the next. The thumb safety? Half the crowd swears it's a feature, half curses it like a wart. But here's the kicker. Even the loudest haters get quiet after the first target comes back. For a gun this small, it draws tighter groups than it has any right to. So the CSX sits in limbo. Some guys holster it daily, others lock it away in shame, but one thing's certain, you can't keep it out of the 9mm conversation. Today, a guy at the lane is stringing clean groups with a 9mm everyone swears is forgettable. Yesterday, the same gun sat lonely in a case while shoppers talked themselves into something trendier. That's the Ruger American for you. It didn't win the internet, it didn't win the fashion show, it just kept showing up. Boring on the shelf, better on the timer. The knock list writes itself. Biggish, plainish, not drowning in aftermarket glitter. Fine. But loaded with cheap range ammo, run it hot, and the story shifts. Side picture settles, recoil stays honest, the why does it exist joke starts sounding like why does this shoot this well? It's not a status buy, it's not a thumbnail magnet, it's the 9mm that proves some pistols don't need to trend to work. If you want fireworks, scroll on. If you want a frame that shrinks at a long day and a dirty box of 115s, you might accidentally respect it. The American didn't change, you see. Folks just finally listened to what the target was saying. Alright, enough vegetables, let's argue about a micro with a hammer. The Mako didn't sneak onto shelves, it crash landed. One morning, Kimber's dropping glossy ads, and by lunch, the forums were on fire. Half the crowd's yelling, "At last Kimber's modern." The other half, polymer, optics cut, they've lost their damn religion. You would think they'd rolled out a UFO and not a 9mm. And here's the part that keeps the arguments boiling up. It's a coin toss. Some Makos run silky, chew through junk ammo like nothing, and shoot flat enough to make SIG boys nervous. Other Makos jam after 2 mags, and their owners curse Kimber like they got robbed at gunpoint. I watched it myself. One guy stumped after 2 failures, while the next lane over a shooter grinned like he'd found the P365 killer. Same pistol, same day, completely opposite verdicts. Then there's the sticker shock. Kimber called it premium, and shooters hollered, "That's not a price tag, that's a prank." But you know what? Plenty still paid, and they defended loud like buying one made them honorary shareholders. So, is it genius or garbage? Doesn't matter. The Mako's done the one thing every gun maker dreams of in 2025. It keeps your mouth moving. The APX A1 Carry doesn't start arguments at the range, it starts them at the register. That number for a Beretta Micro? Yeah, but it hides better than you think. Sure, until you shoot it. That's how it goes. One person buys it as a budget way into the Beretta name, another walks right past it, says the Shield Plus or a used P365 is the smarter spend. Then somebody actually runs it. Grip feels better than the internet says, triggers odd until it isn't, recoils polite, and now the same folks who laughed at the glass case are asking to try a mag. No, it's not the Micro King. Holsters and plates aren't falling from the sky, and the ergonomics still divide the room, but the price keeps pulling people back to the counter, and the shooting manners keep them a little quieter on the walkout. Here's the uncomfortable bit. If it wore a different logo, half the crowd would judge it differently. The APX A1 Carry lives or dies on brand expectations, not just performance. Call it a discount door into Beretta or a detour you'll regret. Either way, it's not collecting dust in 2025, it's collecting opinions. And now for the pistol that proves boring can still bite. Some pistols claw their way up slow, earning respect over decades. Canik, on the other hand, they kicked the damn door in and demanded a seat at the table. The Mete SFX Pro is the loudest example yet. A Turkish pistol that looks, feels, and shoots like it belongs next to guns twice its price. But here's where the debate burns. Fans brag about the value. Flat shooting barrel, crisp trigger, competition ready right out of the box. They'll tell you it runs with Glocks and SIGs while costing half as much. Critics fire back that respect ain't earned with a sticker price, it's earned with decades of duty use, not a flashy import. And the conspiracy lingers. Some swear Canik's playing the game by flooding the market with features, buying loyalty with undercut prices. Others whisper about Turkish QC. Is it really built to last, or just good enough to ride the hype? I've watched it firsthand. A shooter shows up at a match with one, and the sneers are instant. But when the timer buzzed, his Canik spit rounds fast, flat, and true. The smirks didn't last long. The question ain't whether the SFX Pro performs, it's whether you're ready to admit it belongs. There are pistols that earn respect, and then there are pistols that demand it. The SIG P226 Legion SAO falls square in that second camp. A sidearm that walks into any room and already carries the weight of its history. This was the Navy SEALs' trusted iron, the pistol stamped into military lore. But in 2025, that same weight sparks arguments louder than ever. The old guard calls it the standard. Heavy? Sure. Big? Absolutely. But in their hands, that weight means stability, consistency, and a trigger that breaks clean every time. To them, the Legion branding ain't fluff. It's SIG finally refining a legend. The new wave fires back. They see a bulky frame that doesn't disappear inside the waistband. They see a price tag that makes you laugh before you even rack the slide. And worst of all, they see SIG slapping gray paint and Legion on the box, charging more for nostalgia than innovation. Yet here we are, the P226 Legion still refusing to fade. It's the kind of pistol that keeps getting invited back into the conversation whether people want it or not. And if you think that's divisive, wait until number 11, a Turkish 9mm that's stirring up fire for the exact opposite reason. They were already digging the grave before it was even born. That's how much folks believe the Springfield Echelon didn't stand a chance. Another polymer pistol, another Glock killer that ended up forgotten before summer was over. The jokes were so loud you would think Springfield had announced a water gun. That's where the conspiracy heat rolled in. Shooters swore the Echelon wasn't about innovation at all. It was Springfield panicking, throwing something together just to keep their name alive against SIG and Glock. Optics-ready modularity? Critics sneered. Just marketing, same old plastic, different paint job. And with Springfield's old XT reputation hanging around like a bad smell, folks were convinced this pistol was dead on arrival. But then came the twist. At the range, I saw one of those hard Springfield haters. Hadn't touched one since the 90s. He borrowed an Echelon just to mock it. First mag, he smirked like he had proven his point. Second mag, his groups got tighter. By the third, he lowered and muttered under his breath, "Well, hell." And that's how the Echelon forced its way into 2025. Not with hype, but by making even its loudest critics stop laughing once they squeeze that trigger. Before I wrap up this list, I've got to throw one more bonus pistol that's been stirring fires of its own. The Walther PDP Compact. Ergonomics junkies screamed this thing fits like it was molded right for your hand. The trigger? Some call it the best striker-fired pole on the market. Walther fans brag it's the 9mm that finally pushed them to shelf their Glocks, and once you feel that grip texture, you kinda get why. But man, the pushback's loud. Critics say it's all marketing polish, a pistol that feels great in the shop, but ain't worth the sticker once you start buying mags, holsters, and optics plates that don't quite fit. The insult that's stuck online? It's the gun for people who like holding more than shooting. Still, I've seen it surprise shooters. At one match, a guy swapped his SIG to the PDP and pulled tighter groups, walked away with a grin. That moment keeps Walther in the firestorm of 2025. Call it overhyped or overlooked, but the PDP Compact earned its spot as the bonus blaze. Have you noticed how funny it is? Most of the loudest guns in the market today, they're not on this list. But the ones we talked about, these are the guns real shooters keep coming back to. They don't need flashy names or hype cycles, they work. So if you're the kind of person who doesn't follow the noise, but follows the truth, then you already know what to do. I'm Steve, and thanks a lot for watching. Stay sharp and carry something you actually trust.